what drives you? What is it that when you wake up in the morning, do you see a problem and you want to solve it?
I think the thing that drives me is that I want to be able to think about the future and feel good about that. We're doing what we can to have the future be as good as possible, to be inspired by what is likely to happen, and to look forward to the next day. So that's what really drives me is trying to figure out how do make sure that things are great and going to be so, and that's the underlying principle behind Tesla and SpaceX. Is that I think it's pretty important that we accelerate the transition to sustainable generation and consumption of energy. It's inevitable, but it matters if it happens sooner or later. And then SpaceX is about helping make life multiplanetary and doing what we can to continue the dream of Apollo.
You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight in the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that because those guys are, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here. And I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Did you expect them to cheer you on?
So they're hoping they would.
What are you trying to prove to them?
What I'm trying to do is to make a significant difference in spaceflight and help make spaceflight accessible to almost anyone.
Every couple hundred years, humanity is given the gift of a visionary, someone who dedicates their entire life to changing the world, seemingly pulling the future into the present and expanding the realm of what we believe to be possible. Elon Musk is one of those gifts.
America is a nation of explorers. People came here from other parts of the world that, chose to give up the known in favor of the unknown. So I think exploration, I think the United States is a distillation of the human spirit of exploration. So that's why it appeals to Americans so much. You can see this when, say, there was a shuttle tragedy and 7 people died. And that's terrible, but a lot of people die all the time. But why do we care so much? Because it was the dream of exploration that was dying along with those people. That's why.
Elon isn't perfect. Just like every other human to walk the planet, he has character flaws and has made mistakes. If your life was broadcast under a microscope, you would have critics as well. That being said, regardless of your personal bias, there is no arguing his list of contributions to the world. The products and services he's helped to create at PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, and others are impressive, but more than his achievements are the countless number of people he has inspired. Lives he's changed by taking risks, dreaming big, and not being afraid to fail. He's changed the fabric of what society considers possible and has inspired a generation to never settle with the status quo, to challenge even the very basic of assumptions, and to always look for a better way, never resting on our laurels. He's spoken out for what he believes in and never backs down from criticism. He has persevered through trying times when his visions were on the brink of failure, only to see them through and to find a way in the face of adversity. For a generation that is prone to giving up when things don't succeed quickly, Elon has been an outstanding example of hard work, laser focus, commitment, and perseverance. Not only this, he is personally invested in all that he does. How many CEOs truly interact with their fans on Twitter? How many CEOs invite social media influencers to their home for an interview? How many aren't afraid to celebrate their victories? How many are bold enough to step out of the box that is being politically correct? How many in the auto industry have open sourced their patents? How many choose to sleep on the floor in a factory when times get difficult? How many tie their compensation plans directly to company and shareholder performance results? How many risk their personal wealth to finance their endeavors?
How much did you put into this company?
Oh, man.
Don't tell me you don't know.
No, I do. It's about $55 million.
$55 million of your own money.
Yeah, it's a little more than I expected.
Elon is the sole funder of the Musk Foundation, with over $250 million donated to date. Joining Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and others, Elon is a member of the Giving Pledge, the promise only a handful of the mega wealthy have made to donate the majority of their fortunes to justice goals that are urgent and worth advancing. Elon has contributed $15 million in donations to an X-Prize program called Global Learning. This contest challenges teams from around the world to develop open source software that will enable children in developing countries to teach themselves basic reading, writing, and arithmetic within 15 months. The project recognizes that an estimated 250 million children around the world cannot read or write. 4 years ago, lead and other toxins were found to be contaminating the water supply in Flint, Michigan. In October 2018, Elon and his foundation donated $480,000 to install new water fountains with filtration systems in all of its schools. Puerto Rico's governor, Ricardo Rossello, spoke to Elon on Twitter in late 2017 about the possibility of Tesla's intervention to restore energy to the island after Hurricane Maria. The island became a place where water treatment facilities couldn't provide drinking water, markets and restaurants couldn't refrigerate food, banks couldn't conduct transactions, and people couldn't communicate with cell phones or use the internet. Street lights and traffic lights stopped working. Schools and hospitals closed their doors. Tesla offered their services to help restore power to Puerto Rico. After his initial personal donation of $250,000, he then sent a shipment of hundreds of Powerwalls. By the end of October, Elon and Tesla successfully returned the island's largest children's hospital to full power through a combination of Powerwall packs and solar power. This barely scratches the surface of Elon's philanthropic contributions to the world. However, what's really earned my respect, support, and admiration over the years isn't the products or services. It's not the interaction with the community. It's not the philanthropic work. It's not the work ethic, nor is it the success. It's the fact that he doesn't give up and is driven by an insatiable desire to change the world and to provide hope for a brighter and more exciting future despite the odds never being in his favor.
The idea of inventing things would be really cool. And the reason I thought that was because I read a quote from Arthur C. Clarke, which said that a sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And that's really true. If you go back, say, 300 years, the things that we take for granted today would be, you'd be burned at the stake for. Being able to fly, that's crazy. Being able to see over long distances, being able to communicate, having effectively, with the internet, a group mind of sorts, and having access to all the world's information instantly from almost anywhere on the earth. This is stuff that really would be magic, or would be considered magic in times past. In fact, I think it actually goes beyond that, because there are many things that we take for granted today that weren't even imagined in times past. They weren't even in the realm of magic. So it actually goes beyond that. So I thought, well, if I can do some of those things, basically if I can advance technology, then that's like magic, and that would be really cool. And I also had sort of a slight existential crisis, because I was trying to figure out what does it all mean? Like, what's the purpose of things? And I came to the conclusion that if we can advance the knowledge of the world, if we can do things that expand the scope and scale of consciousness, then we're better able to ask the right questions and become more enlightened, and that's really the only way forward.
People who've been in the rocketry business for decades, who say about you that you don't know what you don't know.
Well, I suppose that's true of anyone. How can anyone know what they don't know?
But when critics say you can't do this, your answer to them is,
we've done it.